growing weary of running from room to room, practicing one-tooth insurance-driven dentistry? Then stay tuned for the latest episode of The Lionhearted, where Dr. Stephen Rasner will hand you the blueprint for what many call the gold standard of general practice dentistry.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Steve Rasner, and you're listening to another episode of The Lionhearted. Thank you for tuning in, as always. Thanks around the globe, especially to a number of increased listeners in South Africa. You know it blows me away, right? When you see how this works is I go on this application that tells me how and when and where you guys are coming from. You know, I'm just a regular guy over here in New Jersey that is amazed when I see downloads in South Africa and other parts of the world. So thank you. It inspires me. And also, you know, we're in the dead of summer. So the increased number of followers is growing. And I know this is an unconventional podcast. I'm very aware that I don't have guests at this point. I keep suggesting to you that I am going to have guests, and you know, it just doesn't get there. Not yet, anyway. But I appreciate it. I do appreciate the contact and the emails I get from you guys. So thanks. So no more wasting your time with that stuff. Yeah, I will give a little plug for my courses coming up. They are sold out, the one in September for extractions and bone grafting. But the observer spots are still there for both courses. The implant course is in November, I believe, 11th and 12th. And it is pretty cool. It's less money, and you really do have amazing close contact and feedback and learning. Everybody's sedated for you. You get to see that in live action. And I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't think it was worth it. So those of you that either may not be quite ready for that, there are spots available in the September and the November course. And if you're interested in actually jumping in, please take a look and reach out to Beth for 2022 because they do seem to fill up pretty quick. Okay, so back to this. This is what this is going to be called this week. The greatest random thoughts of the Lionhearted that I wrote down and recorded this week. These are pretty good, so I don't think you should miss them. That's what I do. I go through a week, and as things happen in my week, remember, I'm a full-time, not 2-day-a-week guy, not 3-day-a-week guy. I am full-time, like you. So I run into stuff. And when I can remember, and I think it's worthy of the podcast, I write it down. So these are random but tremendous thoughts from the past week. Here's the first one. You will remember if you go back to my podcast of, I think, 3 weeks ago, the week ending July 16th, that I reported to you just a miserable week that I had. Because I did. And I like to give you the truth. And I tried to explain it to you. It was the dead of summer. I told you that it was my fault, that I was on too much of automatic pilot, which we all get on. I get it. So was I. I had such a tremendous first 6.5, 7 months of 2021 that I got kind of lazy. And it doesn't always catch up with you, but it did catch up with me that week. I also said, if you go back to that week, that I was going to fix it. That even when I'm having this tsunami of great weeks, even one bad week will put me into action. And I did. So I responded. And I have to tell you that the first 2 weeks of August have been record worthy. I'm not telling you that for any of you that I hope would not be envious of, outcomes of weeks that I share with you. I share this with you because, I want you to feel how quickly you can turn it around. And I want you to believe, because I do, that these principles you hear me go over and over again every week pay off. These are not pie in the sky. They're not even expensive. They're expensive in the sense of time and energy required to keep them executed each week. That's true. That part may be expensive. The energy required by you and the tireless effort it requires to make sure these things happen each week. And that's what happened to me. Like I noticed. So I went back that week following July 16th. I went back on that Monday and I looked at my marketing. We all get into this pattern of different things we use to let the community know that we exist. Right? Sometimes it's Facebook ads. I don't do much of that at all. It has not been effective for me. I told you that I use a very upscale magazine that if you're established and can afford it, and I don't hold back from you, it's a $30,000 investment to create it. And then they create magazines which cost another $18,000 that last you about 6 months. I send out 7,000 of those a month. And I got to be honest with you, I have re-upped. I have renewed. And they don't give me a break because I'm Steve Rasner. I'm serious. I swear to you they don't. So I don't really care if you use them or whoever you use. I'm just telling you, I went back and I looked at what was I marketing? How are we doing it? That we were doing that. I changed my radio ad. It's easy for me to do. I've told you. I'm on the radio 5 times a day, 5 days a week. I sponsor the weather. It is a great deal. It's $900 a month. I'm not on a major station. I'm on a smaller station, which is what you want to look for. And you better have something to say or don't bother branding and marketing yourself. And like this is not the subject of this podcast. The subject is that I had let things lapse. I don't think my team was doing their part. For example, when you hit it out of the park, you need to have ready at the front desk a short version of notes of how they can do a Google review to give them, typed out. That's what I do. Or a Yelp review. How do you do that? Like, all they have to do, and I tell them, and I went back that Monday. I swear to you, I remember it. And my first 3 patients in the office on that Monday, 2 were in hygiene, and 1 was with me. And the first 3 patients I did. My hygienists are supposed to do it, but I did it. And after I did it, I asked my hygienist, did you see what I did? Do you understand? I need that from you. I had told them this before. They all knew that. That's what I mean by the cost of energy, the price it takes. It is tiring to go back again and again to your team. My team loves me, like a lot of your teams do. They had just taken me out for my birthday 2 days before July 16th. And treated me beautifully and gave me a nice presents. You can't fake that. If your team really is fond of you. And that's a big statement. Are they fond of you as a leader? Are they just like you and respect you clinically, but you're a crappy leader? Or is it, you're a crappy clinician? I hope not, if you're listening to this. But you're a great person, so they stay with you. So we all know how our staff feels about us, right? And I don't have 100% that I think really like me. But that was Wednesday. So the following Monday, I'm sending out emails reminding my staff that I was very disappointed with the outcome of last week, and it takes a lot to make this all happen. And let me elaborate that to you guys. Do you think about that? Do you think that any place that they can work, like my place, for example, we don't work evenings. And if you're working evenings and it's working for you and you're early in your career, don't you change a thing. I did it. In the beginning, it is like a residency in medicine, but it's better because in medicine, they get ripped off. They're asked to work 80 to 90 to 100 hours a week for ridiculously low pay. Well, you're not getting ridiculous low pay, are you? You just have to put yourself out there. And part of your early 5-year residency as a dentist in your community is doing a lot of stuff that requires a lot of energy. Joining local civic clubs, the Kiwanis, the Lions Club. There's one called the Lions Club. The Rotary Club. Joining the Better Business Bureau. Getting yourself out there in the community. Your church, your synagogue, whatever it is. Yeah, you have to put yourself out there a lot. And I did it, man. Retired communities, over 55, getting your office manager to get you on their next local monthly club. They love to have you. And it's daunting when you're a young person and you haven't done a lot of public speaking. You know, I get it. But you gotta push where it hurts. Where it's, you can't not do something because it's difficult. Come on. You're not a lion-hearted dentist if that's what you're thinking. It's okay to feel the pain. Like, oh my God, I got to speak at the Cranberry Retirement Center next Thursday because I listened to Rasner. He told me to get out there. Yeah, that's what you have to do. You got to put together an outline, and you got to practice a little 20-minute spiel. And none of you have ever asked me for this, but you got to bring refreshments because you want as many people in that community center where they live to show up. If you're going to do it, doesn't matter to you whether there's 12 people in the audience or 45, so go for 45. I can tell you A, B, C, D how to do this. You don't go in there with the intention of getting anybody as a patient. That said, yep, you do bring a fresh pair of gloves and multiple sets of mirrors, just in case at the end somebody comes up to you, because they will, and say, can you look at something for a second? And of course you're going to say, listen, I'll look at something for you. Now, I did all this pre-COVID, by the way. So, I haven't done many retirement centers recently. I guess my point is, it's not an accident that I created the practice I have in the very challenged area that I'm in. And I know many of you in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, many of you are not right in a suburb of a great city, a bustling area, because I'm not. So I had to work a little harder to get the results and get the following that I ended up with. So write to me if you want ABC given to you. That's what I'm here for. But I want you to know that I had 2 back-to-back monster weeks. In fact, the week I had this week might have been the best or top 2 or 3 ever. If I told you the numbers, you would be blown up. You probably think I'm making it up. It's astonishing. That's all I can tell you. And how did that happen? How did that happen 2 weeks after the worst week I had of the year? Well, part of it was luck from all the work I do. Part of it was it all coming together. I didn't see it coming. I didn't even have a new patient on Monday, one of my 4 days this week. And that was part of this monster week I'm telling you about. It's all because of the lion-hearted principles I talk about every week. And I'm sharing it with you because, number one, maybe you had a bad week this week. And maybe you think you can't turn it around. You can turn it around. These principles work, and you got to go back to them each and every day. And sometimes it's tiring because you thought that something was locked in. You thought something was embedded in your team, whether it's 4 people or over 20 like I have. And then they disappoint you sometimes by doing something that you have no idea why you heard and saw what you just did. Like, how could you not know that's not what we do? But if it's a good team member, and my team members are generally good, but once in a while, I'm going to tell you, they give me head-scratching activities that I don't understand where that came from. I don't. For example, I heard someone a few weeks ago. Now, I don't have the time to eavesdrop their conversations, but you've heard me say time and time again that my desk is across, my private office is literally across from where people check out and where a lot of the calls come in. And so I could tell they were taking a cancellation. I could also tell they didn't reschedule them. And the only time that's okay with me, if it's somebody that's on their last leg with our office, like somebody that has broken, like if you break 2 appointments with our office, you are on your last leg. In other words, you won't have the ability to schedule a 3rd appointment. So it would be somebody that's already broken 1 appointment. Maybe once in a blue moon they broke 2 and had convinced the caller in my office to give them one more chance. I'm not mean. I don't even charge people, and neither should you, for broken appointments. How you should look at a patient with broken appointments is that they broke your system. So this is a whole conversation. By the way, I didn't intend to talk about all this. I tended to try to rah-rah you into how quick you can turn a week around, and also share with you the spectacular, I can't even tell you what the week was because I'll tell you privately, but the spectacular week that we had all the result of executing lion-hearted principles that we talk about every week. And it was just astonishing to me that in the week we had, the bad week we had 3 weeks ago, that I can manage to reverse it so quickly. Because the week after was very good too, but not like the one that just passed. So I'm just telling you, I heard somebody take that call, and I was at my desk. I had a patient in the back. I could have easily ignored it, but I said, can I just ask you something? What was that call about? It's a broken appointment, obviously, somebody canceling. And I didn't hear you reschedule them, so tell me why. Like, that is exactly what we all deal with, do we not? Don't we all have implemented in our offices recall systems? Recall. Recall means the patient that has broken an appointment somewhere, a broken appointment for hygiene, that doesn't have an active appointment with you. I mean, that is a very unspoken problem in either average practices or even the very good practices. And it bewilders me because everybody in my office claims I always reschedule them because unless it's the 3rd break, because I know it's the protocol. Yet, I have reimbursement in my office, which you can, again, that's the second thing I've said in this podcast, that you can ask me how I motivate. I have 4 people out of 20 in my office that participate regularly in getting paid. I said getting paid to do recall. Now, why would I do that? Why would I pay somebody when it's really their job? I have the answer. Whether you like it or not, it's the absolute truth. Because it's the only way to motivate people to do a very, very tough job. It is tough picking up the phone, calling 20 people in a given week that are not in the book, that were active last year to come back into the office. And trust me, you have them in your office. Do you understand that A strong hygiene department is the backbone of any successful dental private office. And you can't allow them to just disappear into space. So I've tried everything. I've tried insisting. You can't insist. I've tried mandating that anybody that works at the front desk part of our office, and that's because they're not actively involved clinically in the back. So it's impossible for your dental assistants and your dental hygienist, unless they get a break in the schedule, to pick up the phone and start doing recall. I'm sorry, it's what's fair is fair. So those people in the back can solicit a Yelp or Google review. Everybody can do that and should. So I told you that's one of the first things I did, because maybe it won't help us when we had the bad week. Maybe it won't help us next week, but maybe somebody, right, will read a great review from. How easy can it get when you have a low-hanging fruit in the office that walks in and says, God, I just love you guys, or I love my new smile, or I love how you clean my teeth. How easy can it get to ask that person, we really appreciate that. Could you do us a favor? Could you put that on Google Review or Yelp or Facebook? Because that's how we get new patients. That's what allows us to continue to deliver the care that you love, by having new patients read what you think. How easy can that be? Yet my team doesn't do it all the time. They do it in spurts when Dr. Rasner retalks to them about how important it is. No matter how many times I do it, it gets great for a couple weeks and then it fades. And I know there's companies out there that you can pay to do that. You shouldn't have to do that. But recall, nobody can do recall except the person in your office that knows these patients, that has a wrap down to get them to remake an appointment. And they are your best patients. When I walk into the room, my schedule, on any given day, and I see returning patient from a year, 2 years, always start with the ones from last year. Don't go way back first to 2 or 3 years ago, unless they're an outstanding patient and you have no clue. And this is going to happen to you guys because it happens to me. And you have no clue how they fell out of treatment. I don't mean treatment, I mean recall. And by the way, that also happens. We will find people that none of us remember, to be quite honest with you. How did they fall out of treatment? They like us. They paid us. Because I get paid up front. They paid us. Now, chances are, if you don't adopt the paid up front, I have a book on it. You want the book? Write to Beth. We reduced the fees because it's hard to sell books anymore. It wasn't 5 years ago. And some of you listen to me, paid full boat. Sorry. We're not going to reprint these books, I doubt, because the times have changed. The world's changed in the last 5 years. But you can get it at a reduced fee, The Art of Getting Paid.
Hey doctors, it's Beth, and I just want to jump in on that real quick. We have a brand new website coming out that should be out sometime this week, if not next week. And when it does publish, we'll be running a special on The Art of Getting Paid for $49. In the meantime, I do think this podcast is probably going to be out before the special starts to run, so I just wanted to jump in and let you know.
I thought it was so important for the Lion-Hearted Dental Office to not take losses, to be paid up front. There's so many reasons for that, and not one of them is to make you a fat cat and have a lot of cash. That is not the reason. The main reason is people keep their appointments when you owe them. That's the truth. The people either make a commitment. If you're not doing this because you're scared, do you remember what I said 15 minutes ago? A lot of these changes are scary, man. There's somebody in your office, I hope, that believes in your skill, that believes in your system, is proud to work for you, and hence is not afraid to present to a patient that's about to commit to a treatment plan, be it 2,500 or north of 25,000, and to explain to them of how you take payments. And we give 5% off if they pay up front. And we have multiple vehicles to make that happen. If you aren't doing this, again, it is not because I'm greedy. It's because it's part of a lion-hearted office. It's part of not worrying about that part of your office. I just never have people canceling. I shouldn't say that. Once in a blue moon, and by the way, it's usually a very small fee. There'll be somebody for, whatever it is. Sometimes it's $500 that ask if they can pay the day of the visit. Or maybe it's a bunch of fillings and it's $2,000 or whatever. Yep, I guarantee you that if I go back in my records, they're the appointments that break the most. The ones that have not paid. It is rock solid. Listen, I got way off the topic this week. I'm sorry. I went in to tell you how quick you can turn a bad week, and you need to react to a bad week. Sometimes a bad week is just circumstantial. Rarely do I believe that, though. I do believe the bad week I had a few weeks ago, I've said it, is because of lack of preparation going into the dead of summer. But we are in the second week of August right now. It doesn't get any hotter and deeper. And a lot of people are on vacation, right? Their kids are home from school. I don't know how many people are sitting here thinking of, I'd like to change my smile or my oral health level and pay a lot of money to a dentist right now. But I will tell you, a lot of people are doing that with me. They are. And it is because of the myriad of principles that we go over. An amazing new patient experience and following up on that experience. Because remember, a lot of these patients refer patients. Well, they're not going to refer patients if I was only good at the first visit or the second visit. A lot of it's because the patients came to me during the last few weeks that wanted to be sedated. A lot of them came to us because remember, it's all out of network, by the way. So they're all paying more by going to me or you than by going to an in-network dentist. Our lion-hearted group is very small. It is. It seems impressive to me that many of you are following me, finally. But over the course of our industry, it's a very small group. Because most of you won't do it. Because it's too hard to change. And it's hard to embrace these principles. Getting a sedation license. I know many of you have because you shared with me your recent success, and I'm so proud and such a fan of yours. I'm a fan of all of you. I just want the best for you. You know how hard it is? Because I can't react. I can't witness how you feel and how much you're reacting because I don't have a live audience with this. I'm looking into a camera right now and speaking into this microphone. As always, I hope this helped you. I got a great one. I'm going to finish what I was telling you about next week. And I'm going to tell you why you have to be the boss. You can't be Steve. You got to be Dr. Rasner in 99.9% of the cases. I will tell you, again, if you're in a slump, why you can't give up, never, on looking for the best team. The team is everything. And I'm also going to talk about one of the letters sent to me about my take on what you need in case presentation for photography. Like, how important is that? And what else do you need? Other things I've talked about. Share with me, man. Please. Share with me, man. It sounds like President Biden. Sorry. I do these, and I'm starved, by the way. I got to eat something. I do these off the cuff with a little bit of thought before I start about what happened this week. And sometimes I say things emotionally like, come on, man. Anyway, what I really mean is, come on. This is too good to give up. It is, and I've been doing it for 41 years next month. So it doesn't have to be a miserable career. I think those of you listening to me already know that. Have a great week. I'll see you next week on the Lion-Hearted Dentist. Thanks.